Tom Gamble on Sports, he's Wilt Chambers. And I never thought I'd see the day when I would be discussing yoga live and in studio, but that day has come. We welcome from Move Your Hyde, spelled Hyde, in case you didn't know. I'm guessing that's a reference to the area where the classes might take place. We've got Missy, we've got Mark, we've got Tanya in studio. Tanya looks like she's about ready to kick me. I don't know. Is that just a bad read?
It's real, and it's early, too.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie. Judging from the looks here, there's a chance I could be the one that's on the ground. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good.
So, I mean, yoga, really. Can I start with a... Now, Will has done you've done a hot yoga class, right?
Yep.
Which to me seems more ignorant than actually yoga itself, but that's a whole other story. Why I would want to put myself in a position where I sweat naturally. Why would I want to go in a room and sweat my rear end off? I'll change the phraseology there. What is the point of that? I mean, help me understand. Why do I want to just sweat profusely? I can do that sometimes just by walking.
Well,
don't be shy. Speak up. It's okay.
The point is not to go in and sweat. The point is to go in and move. So
well, you're going to sweat, right? If the room is at a temperature,
sweat, for sure.
What's the normal temperature?
We're not hot. We're warm. So we're 85 to 90 degrees, which for you might sound warm, but you'll walk in and it won't be overwhelming.
Really?
But you're going to sweat from the movement. Oh yeah, it's just like it's like hanging around your house, maybe hanging around my house.
What, do you have your house at 90 degrees? What the hell kind of house do you live in?
I don't have it at 90, but you walk around in a sweater. When you go into a yoga room, you're not wearing as many clothes. You're going to be, yoga pants, yoga shirts, like tank top or whatnot. But it's really more about the movement. The sweating is, you're going to sweat because it's an exercise. It's a workout.
Sometimes I sweat eating. Is that a problem? I mean, depending on the room temperature.
How fast are you eating?
A lot of times very fast because I like to eat a lot. No way. So I go into my drawer and I find my yoga pants. What are those?
For you, probably
Shorts.
Oh, okay. So there's not.
Yoga pants are for women. I mean,
trust me, I'm not. You don't want to see me stretched into the tights.
Not really.
Not a good look.
I
do.
You do. Obviously, you're visually impaired then, right? You can't see real well. So now tell me, and I'm not being fun. I don't really know what yoga even is. I used to think that yoga was something where is yoga designed to kind of clear the mind too? Is that part of it?
When you step onto your yoga mat.
So I need to get a mat. If I'm going to do yoga, I have to have a mat, right?
But you can come to the studio. We have mats.
Extra
Just walk
mats.
in.
Okay.
Come in shorts and a T-shirt and a good attitude, and that's all you need.
Oh, boy.
An open mind.
So you're already
an open mind.
You must not listen to the show.
I can do the shorts and T-shirt, and I can borrow a mat. I'm not sure about the open mind.
How about if you just
That's
walk
why we're
in
here.
with the willingness that you leave with a good attitude?
Can I just come and watch? I don't really want to participate. I understand there's a lot of hot women that do this.
There are no watchers.
No?
No.
Full
If
participation.
you come in, you have to move. But so you walk in, you breathe, and you move. And so the idea is to step onto your yoga mat, to connect with your breath, maybe to feel your body for the first time that day in a really valid way, where you notice your feet on the earth and you notice the movements in your body. And
sounds like some kind of a cult to me. I'm connecting with my breath.
It is not a cult.
And Tom, I'll jump in here. When I started, I've been practicing for 2 years. So what brought me into it was not the holistic side and the meditation. I had a spine injury that 3 years ago. I had a spine injury through rugby. And I spend...
Okay, so you're a man then. That qualifies you. You're playing rugby, although I don't understand the scrums and kind of the reaching around. Rugby is a man's sport, right?
That's a whole other discussion.
Okay.
So I played for 20 years. I played for a men's club in Cincinnati and a little down in New Zealand. And I had a spine injury. I had a disc that basically tore open and went into my cord.
Wow.
So...
Mark, I'm going to stop you for just a second.
Yep.
I'm going to have you go over with Tanya over here. Sorry
Better?
about that.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now our audience can actually understand what you're saying.
There you go. So long story short, they did a level 1 discectomy. They took the disc out. 3 weeks later, I leaked all my spinal fluid out of my sutures. And when they fixed that, I got a MRSA infection inside my spine, which they diagnosed a couple weeks down the pike. And long story short, they put me in a hospital at university for 6 weeks, and then I was in a nursing home, old
Kind
folks
of a
home.
rehab center?
It wasn't a rehab. They wanted to send me to Drake, but I had a son that was 3 months old at the time, so I went up to a nursing home, just a bunch of older people, and I spent 6 months there. So all said and done, when I got out of that, I was still on bed rest, and I went from 230 pounds to right around 180 pounds. The conventional way that I was going to rehab was going through physical therapy. They'd say, well, here's the deal. You're going to be about 70% complete. You're never going to walk. You're going to walk, but you're not going to golf. You're not going to run. You're not going to do any really physical activity. So I started researching, and what kept coming up a lot of times of talking to people on the West Coast was that yoga was a huge indicator of, A, how are you now, and B, what can you get to? And there's many different kind of yogas that Missy and Tanya can talk about, but what I concentrated on was power yoga, which is a lot of push-ups, a lot of core activities. And I walked in the studio the first time, and Missy looked at me like I was a 90-year-old guy and said, what the heck?
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? As did my friends. Long story short, that was May of 2010. I've gained 40 pounds of muscle back, and at first I was doing yoga 6-7 days a week. I've cut it back a little because I started boxing about a year ago. Had a couple bouts already for boxing. So I lead the entire case on the fact that with yoga, it got me back to not 70%, but 100%. And flexibility-wise, I'm 42. I'm probably more flexible now than I've ever been.
All right, we're talking about yoga, believe it or not. Missy and Tanya from Move Your Hyde. Power yoga, we're going to get to that. Mark's in here, and you just heard his essential case story. It's 8:09. It's Tom Gamble on Sports on FM 100 The Fan. So give me power yoga. What's the difference from what would be considered, I guess, traditional yoga, if you will, to now power yoga? What are the differences?
Well, okay, well, yoga is yoga, okay? It's how you present it that makes it a little bit different. Power yoga, it's just a very physical form of yoga. We do a lot of upper body strengthening. There's a lot of balance work. You're going to walk into a class, and you are going to be worked out from your head to your toes, and you're going to leave, and it's a workout. You're not going to go from yoga to the gym. Yoga is the gym, okay? So you're going to come in. That's going to be your complete workout. And you're just going to get a lot of strengthening from it. So for me, I tried several forms of yoga prior to finding power yoga, and I would kind of lose interest, and it just wasn't compelling enough to keep me there. And then I started power yoga. Someone told me, oh, you need to try power yoga. And I started it, and I thought, yeah, this is really fun for me because I'm not very good at it. You know, I'm really challenged by it, and I'm not strong, and I'm not flexible. But I see all these awesome things, and I want to get there. And so I kept with it, and I just kept getting stronger and stronger. And then eventually you get to the level of Tanya, where you can do these mind-blowing things. And it's amazing. It becomes effortless. So the strength that you get from the practice and the fun that can be had in it is just, that's the piece of it that I think a lot of us are missing.
So I'm guessing that Tanya's the one where you look at the position and you're like, really, how the hell could you possibly do that? Well, but I hear flexibility and strength. I mean,
Correct.
those two things, Tanya, that without those. So what if you're somebody like me? I am absolutely anything but flexible. I mean, I can barely even, I am inflexible. So what do you do with somebody who's inflexible?
We
we
awaken your flexibility. Because
the hell does that
listen,
mean?
we're all flexible. We just stop moving. That's
Well,
the
I'm
problem.
very good at that. That's
Okay,
a daily
exactly.
occurrence, yeah.
And according to the sweat factor, you can do that with sitting still. But it's a totally different animal. I mean, I think that it's a very misunderstood statement when people say they're not coming to yoga because they're not flexible. We want those people that are not flexible because those are the people that yoga will help the most. If you can open your body, you will be amazed at the changes that you will find. Circulation, just your muscle tone, your control, you won't, it'll keep you from injury. I mean, yoga all around for each person is something different for you. Moving, getting that body open, you would just be so surprised at what your body is really capable of. By being still, you're missing it.
She's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it really
we need to move you.
You just run the panel over there. We'll continue with Missy, Tanya, and Mark. Move Your Hyde. Is that correct?
Yes.
Move Your
Correct.
Hyde.
Move your Hyde.
Move Your Hyde power yoga.
Move Your Hyde
All
power yoga.
yoga.
I want to ask some question before he does, because I mean, there's for guys out there thinking, okay, if I become more flexible and my significant other becomes more flexible, does it lead to better that?
Of
You
course
feel
it does.
Hold on,
Of course it does.
hold on. That's my tease. That's my tease. We'll find out if it does when we continue. It's Tom Campbell on Sports right here on FM 100 The Fan.
Oh, wow.
Jumped on
I'm
it.
not going to lie. I don't ever want to be subjected to having to see that. But Missy and Tanya, yoga instructors, do you teach down there at the CAC, right?
Yes, we
Absolutely.
do.
Have you ever had does this guy ever been in the class?
He has not been there yet, but
Really?
his buddies have been there.
But wait a minute, wasn't he
I'm
supposed to
counting
be
on him
there?
showing.
He
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
show up though, right? When was
Well,
this?
I'm just going to say 7 a.m. on Friday.
I'm
pretty
don't
sure
give
he's
me.
gonna show up.
See, excuses. Excuses,
This
right?
Friday.
Oh, this Friday.
This coming
All
Friday.
right, so we're gonna have. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously,
And why don't you join him?
I'm on the air. I can't.
Oh,
they won't let me
well,
off the air.
maybe
The
you
heat,
can
man,
hit the noon.
There's slave drivers around here. They won't let us off.
Definitely the noon.
That's
me.
why I eat lunch. I mean, you can't get away with my
Well,
lunch.
you could work out first. and
With
then go
me.
lunch.
And I will buy you lunch.
You got to get me somebody who doesn't quite look the way you do, and that's a compliment. You got to get me somebody who looks like me. I mean, honestly. All right, now let's get to what guys want to know, because that's all.
Okay.
Really, guys don't care about any of this. They want to know if they get more flexible and their significant other. So, is there couples yoga? Can you practice at home together? Because I might be in for that. I mean, is that something I could do at home?
Definitely.
You can do anything you want at home.
Well, that's no.
That's life.
Let's keep this within reason here. Let's keep it realistic now. So tell me, I mean, honestly, but just because you become more flexible, in theory, would make you more productive. So I don't need like Cialis or Levitra. I can just do yoga. Is that the deal?
I'm not going to say that because again, it's different for every single person that comes to the mat. But there are things that people have found that they no longer need. Going to the chiropractor, doing certain other forms of exercise that they delete from their daily routine because they get it on their mat. And you can take it anywhere. I mean, this practice is limitless. Like Missy said, there are many different forms.
Getting it on my mat sounds good to me.
That
sounds like something. I
okay,
should
if that's going to get you there. But I'm for each person. Again, it's a different journey.
Now you mentioned about T.J. Hushmanzada, a former Bengal who is it something? And obviously, Mark's a living, breathing example of someone who had an injury and who has turned to this essentially to help them work their way back. Correct?
Oh yes, because the theory and injury. I mean, again, if you're still, it's going to take longer to heal. With stretching and the proper asana, the postures, you can bring strength, move the blood, and the healing will go quicker. And you'll be amazed, like Mark, he's probably found more strength in his body. He's probably more connected to his body now after his yoga practice than what he has ever been.
One of the interesting things about this discussion is the word strength continues to come up. And just for somebody like myself, who's a novice, who really didn't know anything about yoga except I see people in positions that I damn well know I'll never be in, the reality of that is strength continues to come to the forefront, too. And I guess for me, I would have thought, and you've heard about athletes turning to ballet, too, for obviously, flexibility and all that. I just would have never thought that strength would have been such a core part of yoga.
But you're thinking strength as in strong as the word. We're talking strength as in inner strength. Like it is.
Well, I don't have any of that. I'm
well,
very
yes,
weak
you do.
inside.
Yes, you do. We just have to work on that.
I think it's both inner and outer.
Correct.
So let's just not say it's inner.
I'm
It's
over
outer
two
strength.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Overdue.
what we're doing at Move Your Hyde at the CAC and in our Hyde Park location is all power yoga, and it's about building strength and building flexibility. It's not just sitting on your mat and stretching. And part of the healing process that takes place is that yoga is a practice where you tune into what your body's telling you. It's not ignore the pain and push through. It's take a moment and recognize, is this discomfort or is it pain?
And where it's coming from.
And where it's coming from. And so you tune into your body, and that's where the rehabbing from injury comes from, is the ability to really check in with yourself and take a moment to not just push through, but to decide if it's time to back off or can you push forward. So it's the wisdom that the practice creates.
And Tom, I think from a physical standpoint, it's an hour to an hour and a long class. So for no other reason than you got somebody in front of you and you're working for an hour, hour and a half, unlike a gym where you're going in and BSing around for 15, 20 minutes at a time. So that's the first end of it. The second end is the practice that you can do. You can beef it up as much as you want. So part of it is there's a lot of push-ups that are are involved.
Sure.
You can do 1 push-up, you can do 5 push-ups during the case of it, and you can structure it for what you want. And what's great about Missy and Tanya, when I came on board, they said, okay, what do you want to do besides from being able to brush your teeth without crying? I said, well, here's my goals that I want to do, but a lot of it's strengthen to build muscle back. And typically I go at 6 a.m. in the morning, so on top of everything else in your metabolism getting fired up at 6 a.m., the muscular part to me was big, and the flexibility part because of the back issue. And so there's little nuances that the instructors are educated enough to give you that I know that we go through the same practice, and sometimes there's 15, 20, 25 people in there, and even though they're leading the practice, people are doing different stuff to add or delete depending on what they want to do.
It's 8:21. It's Tom Gamble on Sports on FM 100 The Fan. We're talking about yoga. Missy and Tanya, they teach at the CAC, Cincinnati Athletic Club. They also have Move Your Hyde in Hyde Park. Mark is a living, breathing example of what this can do to help you on your way back. And one question I would have, for somebody out there who's never done it, who says, you know what, I'd like to try this, give me a recommended kind of an approach that you would that you would tell somebody who says, hey, look, I want to find out more about this. What would be your recommendations for somebody getting into it for the very first time?
I would say show up. Just show up. That's like the most amazing things.
But you know how people are. Some people are a little inhibited to do that. I mean, to get them to actually show up, especially to show up to something they know nothing about.
Mm-hmm. When you show up to a class, firstly, it's not an intimidating environment. The practice space that we have, everybody's pretty light. Everybody likes to have fun. People will talk to each other.
It's a community.
So we're building a community. That's really what the goal is. So when you walk in, you just come in, try it, just give it a chance. I always say, try it about 10 times before you decide whether you like it or not. Because you can't just try something once and say, oh, I don't like it. There could be a myriad of reasons why you didn't like it.
Now, Will's a single guy. Is it a good place to meet women, too? I mean, there's got to be some ulterior motive here. Well, no, I'm not suggesting that, but I mean, if you bring your own mat and you get more flexible, I understand that. But will Susie, next to you take more,
I like the nonverbal communication out of Mark there, too. It just kind of looks at me like,
Exactly.
well, okay. I mean,
I want to expand on a little about what you both were talking about, because I think there might be guys listening right now, and guys like me that go to I belong to a gym. I go to a gym and I do a lot of weight training. I do some, cardio as well and weight training. So when they think about this, talk about how this could possibly be a substitution for this, or what are the advantages to doing this rather than doing things like weight training for guys that are used to being on a schedule and a regiment that they like doing that every day.
And I'll take that full on because, again, I told the story already, but I literally, within 2 years, gained 40 pounds of muscle. I have a lower density now than I ever did. My physical shape has changed dramatically because of the surgeries and everything. But all I did for the first year was really yoga. And at that point, after the first year, I gained about 20 pounds. I went from 180 to 200. And I was leaner than I ever had. Now, my diet changed, and I didn't do anything totally crazy, but, I ate good food and didn't drink too much.
What about beer?
But
can you drink beer and do yoga?
Oh, yes.
Not at the same time.
Not at the same time.
but immediately following.
I think don't you think it'd be more fun, though?
Really want to sweat.
So if you're looking for something, some other, way to, kind of build the brand, what about that? Beer and yoga classes.
We do have beer and yoga available on Friday nights. Come to the 6 p.m. class, do yoga, and then go get a beer.
I want a beer with my yoga. You can't do that?
It's probably not wise. We do a lot of handstanding and things like that. You don't want to be having drinks and throwing yourself upside down.
How about this?
You're trying to maintain balance the whole time.
Wait a minute, I got balance. I'll just sit on my mat and drink a beer. Will that work? Can I do
That will not work.
No?
No.
You may sweat a little.
Oh, I sweat a lot if they turn up the temperature to 85 or 90. So, but really, for somebody who is looking to get to the point where, because I will say it has surprised me, and Mark, you're a good example. You're obviously a guy, rugby, now you're boxing, so it's not, I guess, what about you? I hear you mention the mind, the mental approach. For somebody like me who says, really? Just because maybe I don't understand it, I've never done that, how important is that, and how do you get in the right, if you will, frame of mind?
Oh, well, just like Missy said, your first step is just to show up. The right frame of mind, there's nothing else that compares to yoga in the sense that, you don't pay attention to your breath ever. I mean, a lot of people don't pay attention to their inhales, their exhales, but when you come to the mat, that's your focus. That's where you start your practice. You watch yourself breathe. You feel it. You know where it's coming from. You ride that ride. Your breath becomes your fuel. And there's the mental side. That's where it starts. Because the minute you learn to pause and you take that in, again, for every person it comes out in a different flavor, but that's how you get there. I mean, that pause is everything.
All right, well, here's what I can't wait. He's going to allegedly be there at 7 a.m. Friday, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to bring this full circle. We're going to bring the guy who can hire and fire us, and I'm okay with that, in here on Monday to see how all this goes. Because I'm just warning you, I don't have a good feel for this. I mean, no, I'm just telling you. I'll be very intrigued to see
good feel or
how.
good
Well, no,
feeling about
well, maybe feeling, however you want to phrase that. Yeah, that's right. Maybe I did say that incorrectly. All right, but I appreciate you guys coming to give information for somebody who wants to go to classes at the CAC or where you guys have your studio in Hyde Park. Give all that information. What's the best way to get information?
The best way to get information is to go to moveyourhyde.com. We have our websites on there. It talks about power yoga. It talks about the procedure, so you have some comfort with it, and it has the schedule. So it's not like, don't call me, because I'm not always there. But go on the website. If you have a question, send me an email, yoga@moveyourhyde.com, and I'll be happy to answer it.
But
if
you just don't want to talk to anybody, right? Okay.
No, I'll
All
call
right,
people
check.
back. But
All
I'm not always at the studio. If there's
Gotcha.
if there's not a class going on, I'm not just sitting there answering the phone.
All right,
But,
so moveyourhyde, HYDE.com.
HYDE,
is
yeah.
best, and Cincinnati Athletic Club has classes you
The
guys teach down
Cincinnati
there
Athletic
too.
Club has classes every day, and Tanya's there. I'm there. We have some fantastic teachers, and we have yoga and drinks
Friday
Sounds
night.
fantastic.
on Friday nights for
What time are the
guys
drinks?
like you that are ready for it. Well, you got to do the yoga to get the drink.
Can't just have
That's
drinks.
not
You
how
can't
it
just come
works.
have drinks.
It's the reward at the end.
That's
Exactly.
right.
What if I want to just show up late and have drinks? Is that no good?
Well, you can pay for your own.
I didn't know. So if I come early, you buy me drinks?
buy
Is that
you
the deal?
one. Yeah.
Oh, now we're talking.
All right.
Now we're getting somewhere. I'm glad you're on your way back, Mark, Missy, Tanya. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thanks for
Thank
putting
you.
up with me. You really think, well, if he can do it, I can do it. I mean,
Well,
honestly.
we're expecting you to come
Yes,
in and
I would
try.
love to have you in a
Just
class.
come in and try it.
Be
And
careful.
then you can come talk
Careful
about
what
it
you ask for.
yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Bring some
if
friends.
I'm able.
You're
I mean,
totally able.
I don't have
Every
friends.
person is able to do yoga.
Yeah.
That may be a challenge I have to take, honestly. Seriously, thanks for coming in. Mark, glad you're on your way back. Best of luck with everything, and I can't wait till next Monday to hear from the esteemed VPGM. Thanks, and
Hey,
maybe we'll
thanks a
see you
lot.
for a little yoga and drinks on Friday nights. All right, it is 8:28. More ahead. Time Gamble on Sports on FM 100 The Fan.